Throughout the early and mid-2000s, the Tony Hawk franchise had very little competition in the gaming space. Sure, there were games like Aggressive Inline, Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX, and the SSX series, all of which were great extreme sports titles, but none of which exactly capturing what the Tony Hawk series could do. The original Tony Hawk formula is a classic and apparently had been working in regard to sales as the team rehashed it 4 separate times. The 5th installment in the franchise really kind of strayed away from the formula entirely, and that's the game I want to talk about today. Welcome to a complete retrospective and review of Tony Hawk's Underground. Developed in under 1 year by Neversoft and published by Activison, released on October 27, 2003 in North America and November 21st of that same year in Europe, Tony Hawk's Underground brought a very fresh perspective to this franchise. It was released on everything at the time: PS2, Xbox, GameCube, Game Boy Advance, probably the TI-84 calculator. It was even published for PC in Australia and New Zealand. Today we'll be covering the PS2 version on original hardware, but except for the Game Boy Advance, the other versions are essentially just a port of this version. With that said, Neversoft recruited the help of Blizzard Albany and EA Mobile for help with the Game Boy Advance version, and I have to say, it's not bad. It doesn't cloud my rose-tinted glasses with nostalgia, I have no attachment to it, it's just a solid version of this game. Now I'll be real, I'm not sure if this would hold up in today's world. The Game Boy Advance version may be a little rough around the edges now, but 20 plus years ago this was impressive. Now back to the other ports of the game, notably the PS2. The graphics aren't bad for the time. It was 2003, so you can't expect ray tracing, but you can tell they improved things from previous installments. While skating, the controls are tight and responsive, other aspects of the game not so much. No complaints in regards to audio, and the soundtrack is what you would expect from a Tony Hawk game. If this is your kind of music, which it happens to strike a certain type of nostalgia with me, you will love it. The game opens with a scene showing our player in their bedroom on the first floor of a house in an unnamed town in New Jersey, with friend Eric Sparrow knocking on the window informing us that Chad Musk is going to be in town and to get ready for it. This brings us to the character creator. For 2003, Underground has a fairly in-depth, surface-level character creator, if that makes any sense. For what the game offers, you have a lot of options to choose from, and you can certainly make your character unique. I will say I do think it's kind of weird to show the main character in a cutscene before giving us the option to customize them. I'm not sure how normal this is, but it's just a little immersion breaking. If you don't feel like spending the time to create a character, they do have a good amount of pre-made characters to choose from. I went this route not because of laziness, but because they had the perfect character already created for me.
Aw, man.
Eric, who's having trouble with neighborhood drug dealers, recruits us to help him get his skateboard pieces back. This is just a tutorial going over the new free roaming mechanic, which allows us to get off of our board and run around. This is an incredible addition to the series, allowing players the ability to not only explore freely without being glued to a board, but also to get off their board and incorporate it freely into combos. After this first goal, the game sort of opens up. It's a linear game, but it offers more freedom and creativity in the way it presents its goals than previous installments. In those older Tony Hawk titles, you were given a 2-minute timer with all of the objectives laid out right in front of you at the start. In this game, levels were fair game. The timer was axed and you're able to explore and select goals at your leisure. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 is similar in that aspect. It's the type of mechanic that really emphasizes exploration and freedom. Instead of being confined to a 2-minute timer, we're free to stand here for 45 minutes watching this car drive in a circle if we want to. After helping Eric, we have to complete 3 goals in this chapter before we can move on to the goal that advances the story, but the game gives us 4 goals to choose from. Once we do complete those 3 goals, it's straight into the next sequence of the game, but it's worth noting that you can just select the View Goals tab in the start menu at any point, even after you've beaten the game, and wrap up all those extra goals. So, first things first, I went and talked to Sean, who was chilling in the playground area. He has us put some flyers for the Muska demo up by marked locations around town, and this just consists of you skating by the locations. It's easy. I then went and talked to Jason Turbo, our neighbor and dog lover, for our next goal.
Hey,
Hey, the kid next door. Nah, Charles needs some exercise. Hey, I tell you what, I'll give you $5 to run him around the block a couple of times for me.
This is simply a refresher on the sketching mechanic, no issues here. Mike Vallely was skating by, so we stopped him to have a conversation.
Whoa, Mike V. I knew you were Jersey local, but...
Hey kid, just out skating? Cool. Me too. Hitting up the old neighborhood.
This is our first pro challenge. Each level we come across a pro skater who teaches us a different special. In this case, Mike V is teaching us the flamingo. Wrapping up with Mike, we catch back up with Eric, who challenges us to do a couple of tricks and then to beat his score. The fourth goal, the one that I decided to skip out on, is called Get In Tight with the Street Warriors. This is an introduction to the lackluster driving mechanic in this game. The controls are stiff and just downright bad. These segments feel repetitive as they cloud up every level, and they just feel forced at points. To Neversoft's benefit, they were trying something new, it just needed more time in the oven. Whichever quest you choose though, it's at this point that Eric informs us that Chad Muska's demo is about to start, so we sit back and enjoy it. After that, he gives us all a lesson in humility.
Yo, check this out. It's louder than a Metallica concert in there! I also had bulletproof siding put in and 7 screens for my DVD player! Muska, chillin'. Where?
He is the one to impress here though, so the final goal in this chapter consists of talking to local skater Joey, who sends us off to impress Chad Muska in front of his Escalade as he drives around New Jersey. This is just a basic points challenge, which ends with Chad telling us to try to impress our local skate shop, get sponsored, and work our way up from there. He then throws us his own personal skateboard as a gift because he feels bad at how big of a piece of shit ours is. So chapter 2, appropriately titled Impressing the Locals, has us out in our hometown in New Jersey doing just that, attempting to get on our local skate shop's radar. The atmosphere is a little darker at this point, it's a little later in the day. We start out chapter 2 with the goal Demo the New Playground setup. This is just a timed score challenge showcasing a new layout at the playground. I followed this up by impressing Joey, which consists of spine transferring into the dumpster and then completing the tricks that Joey calls out. From this point, I went and talked to Chris, who challenged me to do his best lines. I avoided Sean's goal, which is just jumping onto this roof and transferring to the next one. It doesn't matter though, because with 3 goals down, we are now in talks with Sean regardless. And apparently the neighborhood dealers took off with some gear from the local skate shop and we've got to get it back. With dealers scattered all over the moonlit streets, it's a pretty straightforward trip to Elm Street if you just take the high road. Once we arrive, we meet Eric, who looks particularly sketchy.
Look, I got the stuff back.
Awesome. You should get back to Peralta's before you get caught.
What about you?
Me? Oh, yeah, I gotta finish doing something here. These guys are gonna pay.
At this point, we come in contact with Stacy Peralta, owner of the local skate shop, doing a little mailbox yoga. We let him know that we want him and his shop to sponsor us, but he quickly lets us know that it's not going to be that easy.
You the guy my skaters have been talking about?
Well, I hope so. I'd like to be sponsored by your shop.
Yeah, so would everybody else. I'll tell you what. Make me a sponsor me video.
Out of excitement, we let Eric know, but he's got bigger fish to fry.
Peralta.
They know. Those gangsters know it was me.
What are you talking about?
When I got back to my house last night, they were parked outside waiting for me.
This brings us to Chapter 3, Getting Out of Dodge. This is a 2-part goal where we start out by gathering scrap metal for Headstone Harry, who puts together a ramp for us. We then sketch on Johnny Turbo's car for speed to clear the bridge, getting away from the drug dealers. Doing this opens up the bridge between the neighborhood and the train station, expanding the level of New Jersey. The first person we come in contact with on the other side is Security Stu. We have a productive conversation with Stu.
What's your problem, Bacon Bits? Wake up on the wrong side of your mother this morning?
Why, you little...
And then make him chase us in circles. At this point, it's between talking to Ollie the Bum, a returning character from the franchise, and retrieving his bed that's scattered on the train tracks, or talking to this charming kid.
I can go anywhere and get into anything around here. I rule.
I went with this kid who gives us a high score challenge with the twist that the floor is lava, meaning we can't touch the road. This spices things up a little bit, but it's still pretty easy, at least on normal difficulty. After this, we're informed that Eric has literally been kidnapped by the drug dealers, and we have to chase their vehicle back to Elm Street. We're met by our knight in shining armor. Do you remember Johnny Turbo?
Don't worry, amigo. They're not getting away from me. Whoa, he's flipping a bitch. Here, take my ride.
Like I already said, these driving segments are pretty lackluster, but this one's over rather quickly. At the end of it, we take Johnny Turbo's car and ram the absolute shit out of the dealers inside the train station, flipping their car and making it catch fire with Eric inside. He runs out unscathed. We leave both vehicles inside of the train station and make it to the train just in the nick of time with the camera panning back, showing that the dealers weren't banished to the Shadow Realm. The train takes us straight into Manhattan, where the second level, or Chapter 4, Skate the Big Apple, begins. Manhattan is a level consisting of a large waterfront area, an embankment area, and a business/city area. You'll notice right off the bat that we're greeted with a goal, and here we're supposed to help the student get the stuff from her purse back, but this is the goal that I chose to skip initially. As you can see, I did end up going back and completing it. Regardless, instead of that, I went to talk to this local who called out grind combos for me to do on these benches down by the waterfront. Afterward, we talked to Chad Muska, who was right near us. This wasn't a goal, but another special trick to learn. We are to learn the Moonwalk 5-0 by doing it along the entire waterfront side of Manhattan. It took me more times than I'd like to admit to complete this. In any case, with the Moonwalk 5-0 in our arsenal, we move on to helping the nut vendor. This is a driving segment in which we must destroy this nut vendor's competition by running over their carts. We then went over to the famous pyramid ledges to begin our goal of tearing up Manhattan skate spots, including the ledges, 78 Water, the waterfront, the Vet Memorial, and the banks, with each location asking a higher number of points to complete. With this out of the way, we jump right into another goal. Right down the road, there's construction going on, and the foreman wants to see a high score from us. On normal difficulty, you get 2 minutes to score 45,000 points. In reality, you really only need about 12 seconds. From here, Eric asks us to go check out the skaters down at the banks, and this is how it goes.
Those guys have a camera. Maybe they'll let us use it to make our Sponsor Me video for Peralta.
Why you beaming? You want a date or something?
I stopped dating dwarfs last week.
Take your soggy mob flips back to Jersey, tweakers.
Hey, let's just go skate. If we tear up your favorite spots, you guys help film us?
Chapter 5, Skating with the Locals, takes place in a dark, rainy Manhattan. Our ultimate objective this chapter is to become friends with locals so they'll help film us for a Sponsor Me video. Ironically, we start out this chapter by talking to a team filmer who needs us to use a camera we apparently already have to film his team. I understand it's not that deep, it's just kinda strange. If we already have a camera for this, shouldn't we have that same camera we can give to Eric in order to film us? Heading down to the banks, we complete the final mandatory goal before advancing the story, which consists of hitting this line. We skip the goal in which you are to help this guy commit insurance fraud by driving his car around until it lights up on fire and then ditching it in the waterway. We are asked by a local to help get him some warm nuts for 3 guards in exchange for entrance into this building, which apparently is a crazy skate spot. Here he teaches us the New York Nut Buster, which is essentially just a masquerade for the introduction to the game's new Create a Move system. This is, at least for the time of its release, a pretty in-depth mechanic that allows you to create your very own special. This is a mechanic of the game that you could spend a lot of time toying around with everything, getting it just right. We'll go into it a little bit further in depth later on. This brings us to the final goal within Chapter 5, which is doing tricks that Eric calls out over this burning taxi while Eric films it. We wrap that up and send the tape over to Peralta. Evidently, it's enough to impress him because we get this call.
Hey, man. I got the video you sent me. Wow. You got style. You are on the team, dude. You're definitely on the team. We gotta find a way to get you down to the Tampa Am contest.
Tampa? That would be insane. But I have like $3 to my name.
Don't matter, man. I'll tell you what. You run some errands for me in New York, and I'll floor you my vintage bus for the trip. Now tell me what you want to ride, and I'll send you all the free gear you need for the event, dude.
This unlocks the skate shop for us where we can pick out different decks and customize them with grip tape and different wheels. After we're done setting up our skateboard, we're sent back to Manhattan for Chapter 6, Favors for a Ride. Peralta said he'd lend us his van for transportation and send us to Tampa for the Tampa Am if we do him some favors in the city, so we're here to do him some favors. This one's shorter than previous chapters, only clocking in at 3 goals in total, with 2 needing to be completed in order to advance. I started out by helping Peralta's cousin. He was in a little bit of a jam at work, so we had to impress his boss with a high score inside of this building. This brings us to assisting a local skate shop dude with getting his stolen products back. This one is as simple as finding the skating NPCs with skulls above their heads and running into them, retrieving the decks. The goal I skipped out on was old school skating techniques, which consist of doing what this Japanese culinary master tells us to.
You must learn some old skating techniques. We'll start with the no comply. Failure will bring disgrace to my name and restaurant.
Anyway, Peralta then gives us free access to his van, which is just how they justify our player getting from level to level from this point on. Kind of. Tampa, here we... Oh, wait.
One busted taillight. Violation. One bad bumper sticker. Big mistake, you punks.
It's not our car, man. We borrowed it.
So Chapter 7 with Syrup or Jelly takes place in Tampa with the overarching objective of getting on the law's good side so we're able to skate in the competition. We start off by helping Mayor Jed. He wants us to remove stickers from buildings by wall riding them. Next, an officer instructs us to gather donuts for him and his fellow officers. This one was relatively easy. The donuts are in a pretty concise chain, so it's not a hide and seek for him. This goal happens to end right where Eric Costin is hanging out, and a quick conversation with him had me learning the Yeah Right manual. The first part of this was easy, I'll admit probably too easy alone, but the second part with the car just seemed kinda unnecessary. The cones they have spaced out for you to go through don't require a ton of speed, so the sketching portion is just forced. Next up is a little bit of a cluster of a goal, so just bear with me. Or better yet, bear with him.
Wanna give me a hand? I need to get a picture of a cheating couple, expose a guy cheating on his workers' comp, and I need to deliver some dry cleaning.
So it's a 3-part goal that just kind of seems like filler. The dry cleaning portion especially just seems like it was thrown in to extend the goal. Anyway, you can't do them all, and the goal I chose to skip in Chapter 7 was the Skateboarding Bandit, which consists of following a short money trail and a combo until you catch the thief. Whichever route you go, this is enough to get on the cop's good side, at least enough to get Eric released.
Thanks for being the cop's errand boy and getting me out of jail. Time for a little payback.
From this point, we get right into grinding down some of Mayor Jed's re-election signs. We now have a 5-star wanted level on us, and Eric insinuates that he steal this police car. Our goal is to ditch the cops and to get to the skate park for the Tampa Am. We get to the skate park where Eric has no trouble getting approved, but we have a problem on our hands.
Whoa, easy there, Chief. The list's all checked off.
What? You signed us both up, right?
Well, I mean, I sent my form in, you know.
Dude, look, I'll sign up now.
I told you, the list is full. Feel free to watch from the bleachers, though.
This brings us to Chapter 8, Grease the Pros. The idea here is to get on a pro's good side in order to weasel our way into the competition, since our submission form was never turned in. The first person we run into is Ryan Clements, who just has us landing a couple of spin tricks. If this is all it takes to impress these guys, we'll be in no time. The next pro we run into is Bam Margera, who I was actually surprised to see. He plays a vital role in the sequel, but I forgot he was in this game. Anyway, his role in this one is much smaller, as he just gives us a couple of goals. And this one is him simply calling out tricks on the Wet Beaver's party boat. This is a pretty tight-knit space, making it a little trickier than it appears. Regardless, we managed to get through unscathed and talk to Andrew Reynolds, who challenges us to beating his 3 best combos. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little embarrassed about how long this one took me to complete. I skipped out on doing the hand plan on the bridge at first. I tried it a few times and it just pissed me off. The goal I skipped was the bowl grind, where you grind these bottles. It's easy but forgettable. Anyway, Joey tells us that he sees Tony Hawk, so Joey makes us look good by calling out tricks for us to do. Tony ends up getting impressed and challenging us to beat his score. We finish skating with Tony and...
Whoa, not bad. Where are you from?
I came all the way down from New Jersey for the Tampa Am.
Talk about a surprise attack. If you stay on your board tomorrow, you'll walk away with the contest.
I can't. It's full. I worked so hard to get a sponsorship from Stacy Peralta.
Stacy Peralta? I know that dude. He was my first sponsor too back in the 80s. Is he still into yoga? That's one weird dude, but cool as they come. Look, I can't make any guarantees, but I'll talk to the guys at the contest. Just show up tomorrow.
And now it's time. Chapter 9, Kill the Comp. As you can expect, this is the Tampa Am competition segment. We start out talking to Ryan Clements once again, who is hosting the street competition. We complete the street competition with ease and then go on to complete the vert competition, as I'm sure many did in that order. What you can opt to do instead of either the street or vert competition though is talk to Afro Jim, where you're challenged to find your way onto the roof and then get a high score up there. Regardless, after getting 2 out of the 3 goals complete, it's time to participate in the best trick competition. The final 2 end up being Eric and I, where we compete against each other for the trophy. I end up taking the dub and pissing Eric off, at which point sponsors are crawling all over each other trying to sign me.
Good skating, man. That was insane. You gotta give me a call. I wanna hook you up with Birdhouse.
Hey, ease off. You got a ride for Flip, mate.
Hey, come in. Would everybody just shut up for 5 seconds and let me talk to the damn kid? I gotta give it to you. That run was bullshit. No, in a good way, though. I'm gonna have to put you on Element, bottom line.
But as quick as Chapter 9 is over, Chapter 10 is here, and Chapter 10 is even quicker, starting us out with 5 sponsorship choices. Either Birdhouse, Element, Flip, Girl, or Zero. I went with Element, and this unlocked their decks for me in the skate shop. We leave the shop and we're taken to San Diego, where Chapter 11, Prove Yourself Worthy, takes place, and this is our first official chapter in the game under other sponsorship aside from Peralta's. We meet up with Todd, the team manager, and that goes pretty well.
One spiel. The more coverage you get, the more crazy tricks you land, the more tours and free gear for you, okay? Just push yourself, show us your Skittles, and everything is cool.
Skittles?
Skills! Skittles means skills. What are you, from Idaho? Hey, look, the filmer's here to shoot some other guys. Go piggyback with them and get some coverage, all right?
We begin Chapter 11 by talking to Paul Rodriguez, who teaches us the 540 flip. All we gotta do is bust one out over this horse statue. I then took a trip over to the museum kinda near Spawn. They've got a 20-stair set leading up to it that a photographer wants to get some footage of. This is a solid goal. It doesn't feel forced at all and feels like something you'd see the footage of in a skate video or in magazines or something. After this, we talk to Kozar, a pro on the team who tells us about a stunt that nobody wants to do a shoot for.
One that nobody will volunteer for. There's a bunch of flower boxes up on that sketchy ledge, and I want a picture of one of us grinding some of them down.
We nail the 10 flower boxes up on the ledge and then talk to Huff, starting another goal for footage. I don't know why, but I distinctly remembered this one. We need to get some photos tricking over the atrium gap. After a few different photos with tricks, we're home free. It's a very straightforward goal, nothing really stands out, so I'm not sure why I remember it. The goal I missed out on here is called Roof Technician, where you talk to Ralphie, who just has you do a little technical work on your skateboard to catch a photo. After whichever goal you choose to do, the story advances and puts you into a conversation with Schizo. This is a simple goal where we nail the tricks that he calls out as we spine transfer over the horse statue from earlier. They get the photos needed for the magazine cover and we get that ad spot. Todd throws out the idea of having a party to celebrate, but then suggests that we gather all of the party supplies since we are the newest on the team. This sets up Chapter 12, Party, Party, Party. Still in San Diego at this point, we talk to Todd, who suggests we put up some flyers to promote the party. We wall plant 5 popular locations, putting up the flyers in the process. Around the last flyer location is a tour bus with a band chilling outside. Not just any band, this is the band playing at our celebration tonight. After a brief conversation, we find out that somebody has stolen the band's instruments. This one turns out to be another time-based fetch quest. Easy enough. I then went to talk to Bender, a team pro who tells us that the party is a sausage fest and we need more women there. This is an interesting one. We take a gardener's cart out around San Diego impressing women with skateboard antics so they'll come to our party. We pick up Sunny, Charity, and Raven and then head back to the party with them. This guy named Jordan comes out as we arrive and tells us that he snagged a security cart and challenges us to beat his time on it. The security cart being the gardener's cart, I've got plenty of experience with this by now. I did mess up at first, I won't lie, but this one ended up being pretty easy. At this point, I can only imagine that the party for us has officially begun. The goal I skipped this chapter was acid dropping off of these 2 towers. Apparently one of our team members said he could do it, but then chickened out, so I was sent in to show him how it was done. Chapter 13, Demo Time, opens up with our character passed out on the ledge of a large fountain with Todd, the team manager, attempting to wake him up. I guess the party went pretty good for him.
Come on, it's 2 in the afternoon and you're still asleep? You gotta skate the demo at 3.
Man, what demo?
The team demo! Come on, I want you to get the new guy hooked up.
Sup, fool?
Eric? You're on the team? But how'd you...
With no help from you. But that's cool. I can see how busy you've been.
Ah, you guys know each other? Anyway, why don't you find the rest of the team? They scattered after the party. I'll see you guys at the demo after I chow down.
So, Eric Sparrow. This shady guy is now on our team. Anyway, we get with the program and make headway toward the demo. We talk to the security nerd who confirms that we left a few skateboards on the back from earlier when we borrowed the cart, and as a result, they're gone. The game gives us 2 full minutes to sketch the cart for 1 full minute. It's not a hard goal on paper, but it took me a few tries to get it right. We make our way over to this kid named Snotnose who asks us to bust out a chubby combo. On normal difficulty, it's only 15,000 points, so this one was a cakewalk. After though, Todd informs us that a box carrying our stickers opened and there are stickers scattered all over San Diego. We have 20 stickers to collect. It sounds tedious, but they're all in a concise line, making this one kinda easy. The goal I chose to skip consists of gathering our hungover friends for the demo. And speaking of which, it's demo time. The demo consists of doing grind tricks that are called out to us. It's fairly straightforward. The second portion is literally just 1 lip trick over a stage, which impresses Todd enough to shovel out for 2 more tickets to Hawaii.
Guess we'll have to come up with 2 more tickets for the team trip. Hey, get packed, you guys. You're going to Hawaii.
Can you believe it? Hawaii. You must be stoked. The team usually doesn't bring hams on a trip this big.
Man, those sketches are awesome. Did you draw them?
Nah, some artist did. They're the graphics for my new pro model.
Hey, how long were you on the team before you turned pro?
About a year. I just threw down a couple hammers for the last video, and the response was so crazy, they gave me a pro board. Who knows? Do the same, maybe they'll turn you pro in a few years.
This is where Chapter 14, Get Laid, takes place. We've been flown here by Todd in exchange for some sick footage, and like Dead Rising, we have 3 days to get it done.
We hook up in 3 days.
We begin Chapter 14 by talking to a man named Meat, who sends us on a fetch quest for 5 lays. There are no twists or surprises, it's just a fetch quest. The goal ends right where this photographer is hanging out, and the photographer wants us to drive this beater around Hawaii, smashing pineapple stands. Well, it's done. We come across a man named Big Kahuna who has us reliving old glories with a letter combo, this one spelling Mauaina. The letters are so close here that it is really easy though. The goal that we skipped is called Wedding Guest, in which we have to find the newlyweds around the map and take photos busting tricks with them. This brings us to Schizo, who tells us he's found a way to drain the pool behind this hotel. His plan is wall planting the vending machine, causing a distraction, and then acid dropping into the pool. This ends up causing such a ruckus that the security guard drops his candy bar in, causing everybody to evacuate, thinking somebody dropped some serious butt sludge in the pool.
Pool closed for decontamination.
Sup? Check out this clip from Wallows.
Whoa. And that's some heavy footage.
What you got going?
Some secret spot I just found. It's pretty gnarly. I'm gonna shoot it later today.
That's cool. Give me a ring if you need help shooting it. It'd be like old days.
After talking to Eric, we are brought into Chapter 15, Find the Ultimate Spot. This begins with a conversation with a hula girl who invites us to an impromptu skate competition on the beach. We end up coming out on top and then running into Rodney Mullen, who reminds us that,
remember, you're here to skate, not to play official bikini inspector.
Here he teaches us the Crook's Dark Slide. To learn this, we have to do it for 10 seconds total within the 2-minute period we're given. At this point, we talk to Furlow, who sends us out to impress 3 groups of bikini girls. This one was pretty straightforward as well, but it led me into a goal that took a little bit of time to complete. Kill Wallows, a goal in which Ralphie has us essentially playing graffiti with property. On normal, I had 10 things to trick on, which is reasonable looking back. Next, he gives us another goal. The Wallows closed bowl combo, which includes gapping over these 3 points in the wallows. From here we accept this goal where we have to go and lip trick the 4 highlighted spots. We're then asked to climb the hotel, which brings us here.
Can you believe this spot?
You serious? You miss your Ollie, we'll be sending you back to Jersey in a coffee can.
Todd said he wanted something big. This is it.
Before continuing, the goals we skipped in Chapter 15 were titled High Lines, which is a continuous grind challenge, and Off the Wall, which is to manual the entire ditch in the continuous handstand, although I found this one to be easily cheesed with a grind. Anyway, back to the top of the hotel where Chapter 16, Get the Shot, takes place. Remember, we're in Hawaii to film, and that's exactly what we're going to do. I talked to Eric, who encourages me to gap to an adjacent roof. This happens with ease, and after scrapping our plan to jump over the Pink Hotel, Eric calls for a high score challenge. We then suggest spine transferring to the street below while doing a 900. This one ends with the police helicopter showing up in between the hotel we're on and the Pink Hotel. Instead of ditching, we decided it'd be best to use this as a photo opportunity and bust out a McTwist over the helicopter with a cool slow motion effect.
Tell me you got that!
Hell yeah, I got it!
I can't believe I did that! That's the best thing I ever filmed!
It's the best thing anybody ever filmed!
Stay where you are!
With this, we're taken straight into Vancouver for Chapter 17, Last Minute Tasks. We start out Chapter 17 humbly talking to this cameraman.
Something about a massive Hawaii gap or something?
That was me. I cleared that air.
No way. You're not even a pro.
Doesn't matter. Just go to the premiere tonight and you'll see.
The cameraman asked for a little bit of footage, prompting a 50k score challenge. Near us is a leaf blower, and obviously we inquire. He says we can try it out if we do his work for him and run over the leaf piles. They tricked us with another vehicle goal, an annoying one too. This guy has a lot of leaf piles to clean up. We finish up right near Denny, who's laid out all of his t-shirts for us to collect. This is kinda creepy. In any case, this is a straightforward line of shirts down to the hockey rink and ends right by this cameraman. He says he needs some background footage for Huff's section in the video and asks us to flatland for it. We warm up and then get down to business. We get right into talking to another team filmer who asks us to skate in place of another skater who is too intoxicated to perform. This one consists of nollies, pressure flips, and a combo of the two. Bob Burnquist is hanging out up here by these tables and teaches us the Casper handstand. Right next to him is Schizo, and he asks if we can film him. This is just like the segment earlier in Manhattan, you just slowly follow. It's pretty boring. We head over to the museum and Ralphie's been picked up by the cops. He can't provide his passport and suggests it could have fell out of his pockets when he fell. We then have to go back to the leaf blower guy and use his leaf blower to search more piles of leaves for this passport. This portion is just redundant. We find the passport and climb the building to reunite Ralphie with it. The goals I skipped out on were party dregs and return the guest passes. We were partying hard last night and a bunch of our gear was stolen, so party dregs consist of finding 3 skaters with skull icons and running into them gathering our goods back. Return the guest passes is just another fetch quest where we have to find all of our team's guest passes for the Slam City Jam event. With that, we gotta get into the limo and get ready for the premiere, but the kicker is that we don't have a driver, so I'm the lucky one who gets to play the Uber driver for the team. We get to the premiere and...
Did I miss my part?
Part? You weren't even in it, but Eric's part ruled. He did the sickest rooftop gap I've ever seen. Roof to roof in Hawaii, 40 stories up.
What the? That was my trick in my spot.
Time to introduce our newest pro, Eric Sparrow! Eric's on his way to the Moscow Invitational, and his first pro board will be coming out in 2 months.
This is the turning point. We find out that Eric Sparrow has stole our footage and is claiming that the 40-story over-the-helicopter Hawaii McTwist is his own. I don't know how the clothes aren't a dead giveaway, but I'll play along. This stunt gets Eric pro status along with a professional board. Basically, he's everything that we were aiming to be, and he did it using my footage. While signing the entry form, we slip our name into the pro section instead of amateur. Our decision is questioned, but nothing ever comes of it. This is where Chapter 18, Destroy the Slam City Jam, begins. We start out the Slam City Jam talking to the street comp judge and banging that out. I ended up first, but Eric took second, showing me that he had his foot on the gas. From here, I go to talk to Bender, who just teaches us hip transferring. I love the fact that we're still being taught basic mechanics like this at this point in the game. Like, the pacing is just great. At this point, we have the option to either do this goal in which we control a blimp rescuing weird fans who are holding on to these lights on the ceiling, or do a vert competition. Since we're at the Slam City Jam, I felt like the vert competition was the only real way to go. And you know how it goes, as long as you can lay down some crusty lines, you'll be golden. As you can expect, the final two are us and Eric. This ends with us beating his score while completing his line.
Just decide to enter yourself as a pro? I should kick you off the team.
Hey, I just won. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you got balls as big as boulders, but you pulled it off, so congratulations. Listen, you gotta start thinking about your board graphics.
You guys are taking me pro?
You just won a pro contest. You are a pro.
Now we are officially a pro, and that means we need a custom deck. This unlocks the Create a Deck feature, which is an exclusive feature to the Underground sub-series. This feature allows players to create a deck, which in this game includes a base graphic, a tiled layer, and 4 additional layers consisting of solid graphics, letters, numbers, faces, etc, etc. I think an updated feature of this version alone would be a major time sink with people if it were done correctly. It's kinda like how Call of Duty emblems were. I could see a certain group of people being really into it and talented. We end Vancouver talking to this other new unnamed pro. It's a really weird conversation. He starts out telling us that we're jealous of Eric, but then informs us on how to get rich through shoe sponsorships and points us in the direction of obtaining one. It's just weird dialogue all around from both parties. Anyway, he did point us in the right direction because this is the start of Chapter 19, It's Gotta Be the Shoes. Here we can choose between completing a goal for either Addio, Vans, Circa, or ES for a sponsorship. I went with Vans because, well, I don't wear Vans, but I don't wear the other 3 either, and Vans is still relevant, so. The Vans challenge consists of impressing kids with combos. We complete this fairly easily and then have to race to our tour bus. We're supposed to be on our way to tour Moscow, but they took off without me. Before we can go, we need to grab the essentials, including our luggage, shoes, and our Slam City Jam trophy. We end up catching the bus and making it to Moscow in a nice warm coat to start Chapter 20, Welcome to Russia. We start out Russia talking to this guy named Kalo, who tells us about a nosy company who installed cameras to record this skate contest. He wants us to knock the cameras down, which just consists of grinding them down. This one is fairly easy, although it did take me a couple of tries to do it. At this point, I ran into the man himself, Tony Hawk, who teaches us the 360 varial heel flip lean. This brings us to the goal, Ready for Battle.
Bah! 400 rubles say you cannot caveman grind our tanks.
Here we have to caveman grind a tank in a 20,000 point combo. It's about as simple as it sounds. The goal I skipped out on in Moscow is called Serve the People, where we talk to this guy creatively named Russian Skater.
Word to your brother, my man. Perhaps you will knock out a few lip tricks for me.
This is a 2-part goal. The first part consists of him calling out lip tricks for us to do, and the second part consists of him calling out lip trick combos. In any case, it's at this point that Todd suggests we get into a locked location in order to practice before the competition tomorrow. This is pretty straightforward and brings us right into distracting the guards. If distracting is assaulting. Anyway, this is literally just as easy as skating into them. You could probably run into them. You don't have to grind or anything. The final part of this plan consists of climbing this ladder and skating this line over to the bells, ringing them. This sequence of events leads to the gates opening.
I love it when a plan comes together.
So I begin Chapter 21, Time to Skate Comrade, by talking to Eric, who wants to put on a little demo together for the Russian locals. On normal difficulty, the goal is 50,000 points in a minute, very easily obtainable. I then went and talked to this spicy circus performer who wants to see a high point manual combo. On normal it's 20,000 points, which is pretty easy to do. Moving on, we have 3 goals to choose from. I went with manuals for Muscovitz, which consist of us talking to Rodney Mullen, who calls out different manuals for us to do. Yeah, this chapter has several manual goals. Not this next one though. Todd notices a bunch of reporters in different areas of Moscow and has us go out and pressing them by scoring big points. You can instead go gap hunting with this guy Alexander. He sends you on your way to find 5 different gaps. This one is pretty open-ended. You get plenty of time to just explore looking for these gaps. Regardless, from here the story advances with Eric telling us a local crowd is hyped to see a doubles show with Eric hitting lip tricks and me airing over him. Well, we finish, and upon completing that...
What's up? Me and Vladimir here are feeling good tonight. Hey, your license good in Moscow? Old Vlad told me it was okay if we take a test spin.
You can't be serious.
Oh man, Bam's gonna be so jealous when he finds out about this.
Dude, stop it!
Oh yeah, come on to the bridge! Do a Smith grind, man! Woo!
Yeah, Eric ends up ditching us. We end up crashing into this building, getting caught by a guard, and thrown in prison. Apparently we've done $700,000 in damages, and we're now thrown off of the team. We find out our embassy has freed us, but our former team ditched us, meaning we have to find our own way home from Moscow. This begins chapter 22, Goodbye Sweet Moscow. From here we have 3 goals to complete before advancing the story, and we have to do them all. I start with a phone call from this mysterious phone box. They instruct us to meet their contacts in order. This one's easy, they're all just kind of scattered around this one area, and we have to run around going to each one in the order that the telephone indicates. Our next goal is to take down the radio broadcast by doing 15 full spins and spine transferring over the radio satellites. Honestly, I think 15 is kinda overkill, but I guess they really want you to have spine transferring locked in at this point. With the tower deactivated, we go and talk to Vladimir. This one is a reskin of the goal from San Diego where we have to pick up girls for the party. I mean, it works, I guess, but something new would have been cooler. The final goal in Moscow before advancing brings us full circle talking to Kalo again. He's got a bad hangover, and he says if we get him stuff for it, he can talk to an organization who will get us back to New Jersey. It's a fairly anticlimactic goal for what it's leading up to, and it kind of drags on longer than it probably should. This one has a second part to it where you have to take a bag to Alexander. You get night vision during this portion and have to avoid all of the guards. I didn't really have much trouble myself and was able to successfully get back to New Jersey.
We just raised my demo rate to 5 Gs. I need 5 in my hand or I won't skate. I don't care how many kids are waiting. Well, look who's here. I was hoping to see you. I never got to thank you for handing me Best New Pro back in Russia.
Here we are, back to square one in our hometown of New Jersey. I start chapter 23 keeping it real by talking to Sean and telling him that I created my very own trick. I hadn't yet, but after doing the default created trick, soul skating, we were brought into the game's create a trick feature. Yes, even this far into the game, we're still being introduced to new things. This pacing is excellent. Anyway, soul skating is cool and all, but I created my own trick. One that's a little more realistic. At this point I talked to Chris. These are all guys from back during the first couple of chapters, so it's cool to see them all again. Anyway, here we have to combo the city. On normal, this consists of hitting 10 locations in a combo. You're told to combo the entire city, but really it's like a quarter of it. We go to Peralta and...
I've got an idea. I want to do it right this time. Show the kids what skating's really about.
Now you're finally making some sense. What's the plan?
We start our own team.
I like it. Now let's find some guys who share our same philosophy.
I'm on it. I'll track down the best pros and sign them up.
Perfect. And all we need to do is find a great name for our team.
That's right, here we are starting chapter 24, spreading the news by starting our very own skate team. I'll be real, I kinda thought that's what Peralta had going was a skate team, but I digress. I start out chapter 24 by running into Joey over near the alley. He calls out tricks and asks us to bang him out. He asks a variety, from grabs, flip tricks, and lip tricks. We then meet up with Sean over here by the playground. He wants to film us getting a high point score around Jersey. This time he wants 200,000 points in 2 minutes. Plenty of time, but a noticeably higher threshold than the game previously asked of us, at least on normal. After this, we're sent into a conversation with Mike Vallely, who informs us that a whole slew of big-name professional skaters are willing to join our new skate team. Chapter 25, Team Pick, consists of us choosing from this list of 13 big-name pros. Bob Burnquist, Tony Hawk, Eric Costin, Bucky Lasik, Ben Margera, Rodney Mullen, Chad Muska, Andrew Reynolds, Paul Rodriguez, Jeff Rowley, Arto Sari, Jamie Thomas, and Mike Vallely. My team consists of Tony Hawk, Ben Margera, Rodney Mullen, Chad Muska, and Mike Vallely. My team name, none other than the Fish Sticks. Chapter 26, the video to end all, has us talking to Peralta at a skate shop who gives us a list of 8 challenges to complete, 1 per level. We only have to complete 5 of these challenges to advance. I'll say, even on normal, some of these can be challenging. Utilizing the team we've just put together, we get to plugging away at these challenges. I started with the Jersey Spine Trick Spot Challenge and chose Mike Vallely to complete it. This is just a spine transfer trick call-out challenge over by the train station, with the tricks coming in a little quicker than usual. This isn't an issue as we move on to the Big Apple Spot Challenge with Chad Muska. Here we have to hit 44 marked locations in 2 minutes. I completed this challenge just in the nick of time. Moving along down the list, we head on to Hawaii for the Huge Spine Challenge. I chose Rodney Mullen for this one and got to work. This consisted of doing 4 ludicrous hotel spine transfers back to back within a certain time frame. This is an easier one on the list. From here I went on to Moscow, where we had to collect 10 lost tapes with Tony Hawk. This one was pretty easy as well. I only had one more goal to complete at this point, and the goal I did go with was the Vancouver Spine Transfer Challenge, consisting of 3 back-to-back spine transfers and then nailing a 100,000 point combo. Goals that I chose to skip include the Florida Tony Hawk Pro Skater Challenge, which has you completing a series of challenges, each one taking away mechanics from the later games until you are only able to do what you were able to do in the first installment. The Ramp to Ramp Transfer Challenge in San Diego, and the Slamma Jamma Challenge at the Slam City Jam. At this point, we get to watch our team video showing real-life skateboarding clips of each of our skaters. All are impressive, but Rodney Mullins really just stood out to me. Anyway, that's neither here nor there as Peralta and I start discussing the success of the video launch when Eric pops up.
Keep up with orders.
Oh, how cute. 2 little skaters and their ghetto shop. Heard your video went over pretty good. I guess kids dig that goofy soul skating crap. I tell you what, I'll buy you out for $500,000 right now. I got my checkbook.
I told you, it was never about the money.
Right, I forgot. Mr. Pure, I should have fixed you back in Tampa.
Tell it to your posse. We're through. I've got everything I need.
Not this. Remember? Hawaii, building jump, helicopter? That was some sick footage. Too bad no one ever saw it.
You backstabbing, mob-flipping cockroach.
Hey! What do you say? One last trip around the neighborhood. Winner takes the tape.
That's right, we need to hit Eric's line consisting of 41 locations in under 2 minutes in order to get access to our Hawaii tape footage. We have to do this while he's throwing fire bombs at us. This took me a little while to complete, 42 minutes to be exact. But we end up completing this and...
I'm still better than you! You got lucky, you little punk! Slam City Jam in Tampa were nothing but lucky, little bitch! Get back here! You ain't nothing! I know I can kick your ass!
The story ends with our footage of Hawaii showing the McTwist over the helicopter. Alright, so this is the first Tony Hawk game with an actual story, and Neversoft delivers here. I think the pacing from start to finish in this game is fantastic. You're continuing to unlock new mechanics until nearly the very end of the game, which keeps things fresh. The gameplay feels tight and responsive while you're skating, but I do think the driving was poorly implemented, or at least rushed, and needed more time in the oven to bake. Goals are, well, some are certainly more inspired than others, but I'll say for the most part, even the copy and pasted goals had me fairly entertained this time around. Certainly as a child when this game was released, I didn't even think twice about that, but in 2024 it's more prevalent. The levels, the environments themselves are fun and well crafted. There are 8 throughout the story, including New Jersey, Manhattan, Tampa, San Diego, Hawaii, Vancouver, the Slam City Jam, and Moscow. Each level is unique in its architecture and characteristics, meaning you'll have to adapt your skating accordingly. Completing the game on normal unlocks a separate Kiss-themed level titled Hotter Than Hell. Additionally, 3 old school levels including Hangar, School 2, and Venice Beach are unlockable if you collect the old school icons for them throughout the game as you play. And if these aren't enough, you can also create your very own park. The soundtrack is incredibly nostalgic, featuring a whopping 77 songs for you to enjoy as you skate. It rightfully won 2004's MTV Video Music Award for Best Video Game Soundtrack. Unfortunately, due to copyright, we can't play anything from it intentionally, but hey, check it out if you got some time. It'll take you back to 2003. Considering the servers were shut down many moons ago at this point, and I can't time travel, we won't be able to delve into the native multiplayer. Just know that Thug Pro does exist if you'd be interested in checking out this older multiplayer experience yourself. So taking everything into account, Tony Hawk's Underground really is a great arcade skateboarding game, even by today's standards. Of course, anything negative discussed could be fixed to better it, that goes without saying, but for the first Tony Hawk game trying the story thing, introducing several new mechanics and features, Neversoft really introduced them in a way that was pretty non-intrusive. In regard to extreme sports titles, arcade skateboarding titles, or just video games in general, I would say this game is not only worth playing, it's nearly a must experience within this genre, even today.